Hi, welcome to my project. This is the 10-minute video. My name is Muhammad Ali. So in today's fast-paced world, individuals often encounter challenges of handling vast amounts of reading materials while grappling with limited time. The struggle to manage extensive text, articles, or documents due to time constraint is a common issue faced by many. So we will use AI to make lives a little easier for us. Central to our project is the AWS Bedrock. It is the foundation for our generative AI application. Its features enable us to take data and make accurate summarizations of it. So let us start with looking at the Bedrock models. AWS was smart enough to know that they will not be able to compete with everybody out there, all the AI companies and all the AI technology. So rather than trying to compete with them, they invited to integrate them into their Bedrock integration, their framework. So as you can see, Titan is Amazon's own generative AI model. You can see that Llama is Meta's. The one that I'm going to use is Claude. That's by Anthropic. So all of these models are integrated into the framework of Amazon Bedrock, and you can choose whichever one you want. They have little different functionalities. They have a little bit different pricing structures. And they're basically for two things, text and images. And chat, but chat is a subsection of text. If you go here, you see that these models you don't have access to these models, you have to ask for access. And I found out that in US West is the best place to get access for all of them. If you go to US East or other places, gaining access is sometimes slower, it takes more time, and sometimes you don't get it. Most of these models you get access to quite easily. For some of them, you have to kind of give them information that why do you want to use the model. Since they're so new, they don't want you to use it for something that you might get unexpected results from. Okay, so let's go to the playground. Here, let's go to text. If you select the model, you can select anyone. Let's just select the one that I used. And now we can say, we can ask it, just like ChatGPT, write me a short story about trees. And when you run this, the assistant's going to start generating a story about trees. So just like ChatGPT, it's just that you can utilize this to build an application on this. On the side here, you can see these are the parameters that you need to set. Here, if you look at temperature, the temperature will control the randomness of the generated text. So a lower value will be more deterministic and give you a conservative output, while a higher value will introduce a little bit more randomness and creativity into the response. If you look at top P, that controls the diversity of the generated text. It considers the cumulative property of the tokens until it exceeds the threshold. If you look at top K, it determines the number of highest probability vocabulary tokens considered. So, a pool of tokens that would be considered for the output. So when we get into the lambda functions, you will see all of these parameters will be fed in to the system. So let's get an overview. The functions, the technologies, the services that I've used for this is, the central one is Amazon Bedrock, Lambda functions, API gateways, S3 buckets, and Postman. The AWS Bedrock function that I've used like I said, was an Anthropic model called Claude version 2. It's quite a sophisticated model, and the results are pretty good. So that's what I've used. Also, it can sample up to 100,000 tokens, which is good. Tokens within the context of machine learning and language processing they serve as a fundamental building block. It's basically taking a word and tokenizing it. So we take the root of that word and we tokenize it, bring it down, shorten it, and what that does is it gives the ability for the process to understand the structure and the semantics and the context of the textual data. Lambda functions enable code execution in response to various triggers, while API Gateway provide a secure portal for reliable access and safe access to our application. S3 buckets provide a scalable object storage solution. Postman simplifies API development and testing. So with that said, let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of this. So here's the endpoint of the dev branch of the endpoint of my API gateway. And I have a route set up that is summary. So in Postman, I'm going to use that endpoint to push a text file. I've already used this. We'll maybe find a new one. Delete this for now. This is going to go through the API gateway and it's going to connect into the Lambda function. If you look at the Lambda function, okay. So if you look at the Lambda function, this is my Lambda function. So it's connected to the API gateway. Postman is going to push that file. It'll go through the API gateway into the Lambda function. So I have this layer here. Because AWS Bedrock is such a new service, Photo 3, which is does not understand how to use AWS Bedrock. So for that, what we have to do is we have to go to our terminal. We have to use pip or pip3 to get the latest version of Photo 3, zip it up, and then import it here and add that as a custom layer. So this is my custom layer, Photo 3 Bedrock. That's what I call it, version 1. And I made it compatible, backward compatible to 3.9. So when the Postman sends the file, it goes through here into the Bedrock summary. And so let me walk you through this. We have a function called extract text from multipart. We have generate summary. This is the one that invokes the AWS Bedrock model. We have a function save to S3, and then we have the handler, the Lambda handler. So the Lambda handler gets the body as a payload. It has to be a base64 file. I had errors where I had unintentional characters in there that made it an issue, but I found a way to resolve that too. So the Lambda handler gets the body, and it calls the extract from multipart function with that body as the argument. Here we just declare an empty string. We use the message from bytes, which we import here to get the message. And if it's just a single line message, we just say it goes into the else and just returns the plain text. If it's a multi-line message, then it'll go through a for loop, and for every line it's going to add it to the empty string. So it's going to build up the string that way, and then it will return that string. Then we call the summary function. The summary function is the one that actually invokes the model. So we talked about So the generate summary function is actually the one that sets up all the top K, the max tokens, the sample that we talked about earlier. And it invokes the function. You have to give it the model ID. There's a certain way that you have to call the function. It took a little time to figure that out. And then this generates a summary and sends it back to the Lambda handler, where it will now send it to store to S3 with the summary, the bucket name, and the key. The key is basically just the name of the file with the directory. We use current time to make sure that it's unique and it doesn't cause any issues with the name. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So what I thought it would be interesting to do is I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to write me a conversation. Write a conversation between 4 people who are meeting at a college reunion after 10 years. To save the time, I've put that into this file here. His name is collegeconversation.txt. So now we have the API gateway. We'll use Postman, and we're going to send this the college conversation file. And let's send it. So if everything goes well, now we should find, we should go to our S3 bucket and final project, summary output. And when Postman says it's still working on it, when it's done, it's just going to give us a summary generation error, message, not an error, excuse me. So it's done. Let's refresh this. Okay. Here we can just download this, open it up, and that whole conversation has been summarized. Old college friends Alex, Jessica, Sarah, and David reunite at a college reunion event. They reminisce about their college days, late night sessions, parties, pranks, spontaneous road trips, yada yada yada. So it's interesting that I just think it's fun that we made AI generate this and then we made another AI summarize it. So that is the project. I hope you had fun with this presentation. Thank you for the class. I enjoyed everybody, the TAs, the teacher. The course material was fun. And happy holidays. Thank you so much.